I'm selling my Dubai apartment, but the buyer wants the transfer done through a private agreement, not DLD. Is this legal? Well, a private agreement may be used to either record or supplement certain commercial terms of the transaction, but it cannot replace what's called a kind of a Form F, which is a DLD agreement, and that's a forms agreement for sale that is issued by the government of Dubai, and which is required ultimately to complete the sale or the transfer of the property through the land department. So this Form F, which is a DLD approved sale agreement, it's between the buyer and the seller, and that's the agreement that ultimately gets registered with DLD when the transfer happens, and that registration of the contract and the resulting transfer ultimately leads to the issuance of the new title deed. And this particular Form F, it is generated through the DLD, or the Dubai Land Department system, and typically either via a registered broker or the trustee. And usually it sets out, so that's kind of a template form, and it sets out essential terms of the transaction, like purchase price, payment terms, conditions precedent, and transfer timelines, and penalties and default. However, the Form F alone does not also lead to transfer ownership. It basically, the ownership has to happen through the DLD trustee office for the new title deed to be issued. Now, when parties may also want to have a private agreement, and that's because the Form F is not sufficient enough, or is not, I guess maybe is too restrictive in terms of to outline parties' additional terms, commercial terms that they may want to incorporate into their overall agreement, that will facilitate the transaction between them, but not necessarily incorporated in the Form F. Sometimes the Form F is also supplemented by kind of the T's and C's. That's one way of doing it, kind of, so you're doing the Form F plus the T's and C's, or the addendum it's called. And sometimes you can have the same Form F and have an entirely separate agreement that will kind of supplement Form F. So in short, can you just do it on the back of a private agreement? Not for the purposes of ultimate title issuance of the title, and that's because the land department, the governing authority that supervises real estate transaction and records all the transactions, requires a uniform document, if you will, to register in its system to be able to reflect a change of ownership in title, and that's the Form F. That being said, the parties are not prevented from, in addition to this form, to use their own private agreement where they can detail other nuances of their transaction.